Hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is the radio guy, Dr. Mike Prince. And of course, you know, we spend a lot of our effort and energy in making sure that we give you the insights of FCS sports, in particular that of the Southwestern Athletic Conference and the Mid-Eastern Athletic Conference. Today will be no exception to the rule. We have been fortunate to have join us today on the phone line the president of the Southwestern Athletic Conference Alumni Association. That is none other than Brother Roscoe Nance. How you doing today, sir?
I'm doing great, Mike. How are you?
I'm wonderful, wonderful. Thank you for making yourself available for this interview. Before we get too deep involved in that, how about introducing yourself and the organization that you're representing on today?
Well, I'm the president, Roscoe Nance, president of the SWAC Alumni Association. I'm a retired sports writer. Worked for the Columbus Inquirer, Jackson Clarion Ledger, the morning paper there in Jackson. That's how I became involved with SWAC. And then I spent 21 years at USA Today, covering colleges, and 14 years covering the NBA. And the SWAC Alumni Association was formed in 1999 out of concern by former coaches and administrators that SWAC's legacy, was being forgotten, and they wanted to keep that alive. Actually, it was the idea of Coach W.C. Gordon of Jackson State. It was his idea, and we just kind of fomented it and grew it, and it became the SWAC Alumni Association. And like I said, the purpose is to preserve SWAC's legacy, athletic legacy, its tradition of excellence, and to honor those who have made contributions to SWAC over the years and made the conference, the renowned conference that it is. And we have an annual event, the Legends Reception and Dinner, where we present Lifetime Achievement Awards to quote unquote SWAC legends, to say thank you for their contributions to SWAC. And we also have what we call the Charles Chuck Prophet Wagon Master Award, and that goes to an employee of a SWAC school who's not necessarily an athlete nor an administrator, but who kind of was in the background, and who was, for his dedication to his school and the conference. And it's named for Chuck Prophet, the longtime sports information director and athletic director at Mississippi Valley, who was a real behind-the-scenes guy who worked, to help put Mississippi Valley on the map, and also to further the cause of SWAC. And this year we have, our honorees at the Legends Dinner were Coach Ben Job, the late Coach Ben Job, whose most notoriety came at Southern University, but who also coached at Alabama A&M and Alabama State, and Grambling State baseball coach Wilbert Ellis, who's won several in the SWAC championships and is a prominent figure in collegiate baseball on the national level. And Alcorn State Olympic gold medalist Mildred Netter White. And the Chuck Prophet Award went to Emmanuel Barnes of Alcorn State, who's their longtime radio guy, the voice of the Braves, and also does the public address announcing for the men's and women's basketball games. So, we honored those for their contributions. I think it was an outstanding class.
Absolutely. And you talking about just a wealth of history just rolling off your tongue just a moment ago. Being a former SWAC player myself is truly appreciated, which is how Open Mic kind of got established. We found around 2002 that there were a lot of untold stories, and the only stories that the national syndications wanted to take on were the negative of black eyes. So we kind of wanted to counter that. And being a former baseball player, we started off covering every SWAC baseball tournament game on our network from 9 in the morning to whenever they finished at night. And we've been rolling ever since. So it is definitely a thank you coming from a former player, PV graduate, on all the behind the scene work that is done for this organization. A lot of people, unfortunately, are not aware as they should be. They can help keep the underwriting and the support of this program to moving forward.
You make a good point. There are so many untold stories, and there are so many, great athletes who have, performed in SWAC, and there are outstanding coaches and administrators, and just alumni in general who have come through SWAC, who've made their mark, and have kind of been, forgotten or just unknown, that we need to make people aware of, and let them know that what the conference is all about, and that it's, there's some good things are still going on in the conference.
Absolutely, absolutely. And for those who like to whistle and wave this flag, the conference is not nowhere near death. It's alive and doing quite well. And the evidence, or as they say, the proof is in the pudding. We're speaking right now with Roscoe Nance, who is the president, and might I add, the original and only president since this organization has been established in 1999. Is that correct?
That is correct. I don't know if that's necessarily a good thing, but it is what it is. And we try to soldier on. There have been some challenges and some, rough spots, but we're still here, and I guess to be 18 years, that's an accomplishment in itself. I'll be the first to say that we probably aren't where we would like to be, or where some people think we should be, but we are a long way from where we started. And the blessing is that we're still in existence.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, that's kind of the fingerprint of the conference itself. Established in 1920, you can see people from the outside looking in. What are they going to do? This is not going to be anything. But yet here we are still standing. So as they say, keep fighting the good fight, and you never know. As the old folks used to say, what don't come out in the wash will always come out in the rinse.
Very well put.
Right now, with the awards you have coming up, the award dinner, I should say, coming up this week to highlight the SWAC football championship game that'll be featured against Alcorn and Grambling. This is when the recipients of this year's awards will be recognized. And how did you guys get to forming the banquet part, and how do one participate if they would like to?
Well, originally it just started out as a reception, very small. We wanted to do something, and as you can well imagine, money is always an issue, a challenge. So we just decided we would have a small reception and give out the awards, and then it just grew from there to became a dinner, and in previous years we held a roast in conjunction with the dinner. This year we weren't able to do the roast, and we've roasted some pretty high profile individuals. Doug Williams, Double O Kenny Burrow, big name in Houston. Coach Barbara Jackett, Marino Cassim, W.C. Gordon. And those have gone over quite well, and it just has kind of grown from that. And to become a member, you can contact me at and I'll give you my email address, which is scomobile, SCOMOBILE @AOL.com, and you can also find us on Facebook, SWAC Alumni Association.
SWAC Alumni Association. And give that email address one more time, Brother Roscoe.
Scomobile, BILE at AOL.com.
All right. So you have a very interesting background yourself, sir, because when people hear SWAC Alumni Association, they automatically gear their minds and their heads toward Southwestern Athletic Conference only schools and graduates. But I'm going to allow you now to share your unique story and your background from where you stumped around, and I do mean that literally and figuratively in your college day.
Well, I stumped around at Tuskegee in Alabama, and that was quite an experience. And the way that I became involved with SWAC is that, of course, everybody, at black colleges, coming up in that time, during that time, was sort of familiar with SWAC, had heard about SWAC. And when I left the Columbus Inquirer in 1978 to come to work at the Clarion Ledger in Jackson, that's when I, got up close and personal, involvement with the SWAC, covering Jackson State, Alcorn, and Mississippi Valley, and the conference at large. And, I soon learned that even though I thought that I was an aficionado of black colleges and all, I quickly learned how little I really knew about SWAC, and it was eye opening. And I left Clarion Ledger in 1986 and came to USA Today, but I still maintained relationship with the people that I had met in the conference, and I continued to write about the conference, from various outlets. In addition to USA Today, I did some freelance work, and just followed the conference, kept up with what was going on in the conference, and over the years, and then when Coach Gordon, came to me with the idea, by that time I was really hooked on SWAC, and I said, why not? Let's give it a go and see what comes out. But it was really a great idea, and it's something that's of tremendous value to the conference. So that's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
I do understand, and look, I appreciate that, and which is part of the mission here at the Open Mic Broadcast Network. We are dedicated to making sure that we put not only correct information out for the conference, but positive information out for the conference. Doesn't mean there's going to always be roses, but for the most part, you will have the facts to stand behind instead of just popping off on emotion. And it's so critical, especially at this time, because it seems that there's a strategic attack on the legacy, if you will, of the conference to try to, put that thing. Everybody wants to do this new thing. Well, you can't do anything new until you've established that there's something old to bring you forward. So there's got to be a proper balance of both the history and the future to keep this thing moving in the right direction.
Well, my approach to covering SWAC was that I was going to cover it the same as I covered any other conference. When I was in Jackson, I also covered Southern Miss for a while, and wrote here and there about maybe a couple of stories about Ole Miss and Mississippi State, and and I had the same approach about SWAC as I had when I came to USA Today and covered the NBA and the major colleges. That I treated SWAC as though it was no different from those conferences. When they screwed up, I wrote about it. When they did well, I wrote about it. And to me, if you don't do that, you're doing, the conference a disservice. Because you're making allowances for them. Everybody needs to be held accountable.
Absolutely.
And everybody needs to be lauded when they do well. So, it's just a question of fairness and that's how I approached it. And I think, the people who I covered, appreciated that, because, how are you going to get better if you don't, correct your mistakes or have your mistakes pointed out to you?
Yes, sir.
You keep doing the same things over and over, and you come to think that you're doing a great job, and in actuality, you may not be.
That's called the mark of insanity.
But you have the capacity to improve if you would do it. So sometimes you need to be called on the carpet in order to move forward.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Well, that's part of the delicacy right now dealing with today's administration. They're ultra sensitive, and they mistake that just because you have a good bond doesn't mean that we're not going to hold you accountable. Doesn't mean that we're not going to call you to the carpet, because then we would lose our credibility as reporters, as media outlet, because we're looked at as well at how we handle the stuff on the plus or the negative side as well. So what's good for the gander is going to always be good for the goose as well.
Right. It's it's a unique situation that we're in, especially as Black journalists, covering Black organizations. On the one hand, you're often expected to give them a break, but who are you helping by giving them a break?
No.
You're certainly not helping yourself.
No, sir.
Because, like you said, you're trampling on your credibility.
Yes.
And you're not helping that organization. So,
if anything, we're there to give them a voice. We're not there to give them a break.
Exactly.
We're there to give them a voice. And which it goes back to the support factor, the underwriting factor. You got an organization that's been established since 1999, which was right around the time that we started putting together the open mic concept. And I do understand the joys and the lows of holding things together and keeping things going. And what becomes somewhat comical in a sarcastic way is that people anticipate your stories, they anticipate your releases, but then when it comes for underwriting and support, everybody becomes Casper the Ghost. Am I telling the truth this morning?
True. So true.
Oh, okay.
So true.
I just want to make sure this is the Mike Prince show, so I do have a little authority to say what I need to say at times. And a lot of people, they love it when you are, as they say, keeping it real. But then when it comes to keeping it real for thriving and moving forward, everybody's mom's the word. Why you got to be so harsh?
Yeah.
We are talking right
real.
now. Yes, sir. They say that is keeping it the real. We're talking right now with Roscoe Nance, the president of the SWAC Alumni Association, covers and features all of the SWAC conference schools. It is not just predicated for those who played and participated in the SWAC, as he has very well stated, being a Tuskegee alumni himself. Tuskegee has had a very successful run under Coach Walter Slater this year in particular against Jackson State and against Alabama State. And they might have a little interest in this weekend's game coming up.
Just a little fun thing that should Grambling lose, then, we might want to stake a claim to being SWAC champions. We would be the only school that's undefeated in SWAC play, even though it's only 2 games against 2 of the lesser teams. But who's
counting, right? Who's counting?
That's just a minor detail. Just a minor detail.
Man, I love it. I love it. Now, I got a question about the future of the organization as it's been surrounded itself historically around the SWAC championship game, with this being duly noted as the official SWAC championship game. You guys are going to have to regroup and figure out a time when you can have this annual event, which help benefit some of the student athletes. So how you approaching that? Mr. President?
That's why I'm getting paid the big bucks. And when I started out, I'm going to ask for a raise. Seriously, that's one of the things that we are wrestling with. We've kind of thrown it out there, no solutions. We haven't tackled it in earnest, but we are aware that we have to, do something. What that will be, I'm not really sure at this point, because the SWAC, the football championship game, was the ideal setting because it, draws a lot of people, a lot of interest, and it was just kind of a natural. One possibility is doing it around the basketball tournament, but that doesn't really lend itself to what we're trying to do, because number one, there, for whatever reason, there's not the interest in the basketball tournament that there is in football, and it doesn't, the tournament doesn't draw the numbers of people, that the football game would, on one given weekend, one given night, perhaps over, the life of the tournament, the week of the tournament, when you add up all the attendance, it would be a decent number, but not on any given night. So I don't know. Do you have any suggestions?
You know what? I was just thinking you might have to revamp on when and how you give out the awards, but why not doing it during the SWAC Media Day when you kick off the football season?
That's an idea.
I'm just saying, because you have a very vested interest, and basically what you can do is just have kind of everything on a delayed reverb, if you will. You can still do the announcements at that time of year, but then just acknowledge everyone during that particular weekend, and you can kind of get a double bang for your buck.
Oh, that's an idea. We can talk about that offline.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah. And I would be remiss if I didn't point out that the proceeds from our awards dinner go to funding the degree completion scholarship for SWAC athletes who completed their athletic eligibility but still lack hours to graduate. So we award a scholarship to help students to graduate annually. And what we try to do is award a scholarship for one male athlete and one female athlete. Sometimes we aren't able to hit that mark, and we can only give one, because of funding. So that's why, the dinner is so critical, because that is our sole source of funding, our fundraiser. So, but that is our real purpose.
Yes, sir.
Purpose.
Yes, sir. Now, is there a requirement if there's certain hours that are needed for them to complete their graduation, or does it not matter?
They have to be within 18 hours, like 2 semesters of graduating.
Okay, because I know the NCAA has a program that you have to be within 12 hours or something to that fact, that will help these student athletes continue on with their education. Because the bottom line is, after the championships have been hoisted, you still want to have a successful graduation rate, and that's one of the things that the conference, Southwestern Athletic Conference, has a very, very successful student athlete graduation rate. And that's another thing that goes hidden behind, all the dollars and the cents that may be or may not be, is such the case for the conference.
Yeah, and when you don't have, when you don't meet the graduation rates and the APR and the like, the consequences are very, very severe, very crippling in terms of practice hours and that kind of thing. And those that's a hidden opponent when it comes to winning and losing, during the season. That fans don't take into consideration that if you don't meet the APR requirements, then, for example, in football, one of the penalties is no spring practice.
Right.
Then during the season, the number of practice hours is restricted, and that adds up, and it's difficult, makes it more difficult to win, and then that just starts a whole another opens another can of worms. When you start to lose and you have a bad APR rating, it just kind of spirals. So you need to do things to stay on top of those kinds of things.
Absolutely. We're speaking right now with the president of the Southwestern Athletic Conference Alumni Association, Mr. Roscoe Nance. And Brother Roscoe, we're going to give you an opportunity right now to speak to those who will be listening to this, to solicit them to come and be a part of the organization, tell them the benefits and the purpose and how they can become a member.
Well, we welcome all SWAC alumni and non-SWAC. If you're non-SWAC, you're a supporter of SWAC. If you're a fan of SWAC athletics, we would love to have you join us, because we need to increase our numbers, and we need to get some ideas of how we can move this forward. And the membership is $100 annually, and we have a lifetime membership of $500 that's payable in 4 annual installments of $125. And you can go to we also have a website, www.swac-alumni-association.com, and the membership form is there. And if you have problems with that, you contact me. You can find me anywhere. Directory assistance for old geezers like myself. Just call information. I'm listed all over the. I'm on Facebook, and I will get the information to you. So, but we really need you, and it's a worthy organization, a worthy endeavor. And if you love SWAC, if you care about SWAC the way so many of us say that we do, this is an excellent opportunity to put words into action.
Absolutely. That is a great line there, sir, for the people to have an ear to hear. As they say, you can put it out there, lead them to the water. Now they must drink it for themselves. This is an absolute golden opportunity for you to support a conference that has some way or another impacted you as an individual, whether it was by way of becoming a student athlete or becoming a student. It enhances you to be a positive contributor in society, and what better way to give back? We stress all the time here at the Open Mic Broadcast Network with all alumni, if you would just do $300 annually, once to your school, one to your department that you graduated from, and one to the athletic department, you could really make a huge impact. The difference between PWIs and HBCUs, they're just as radical fans as we are, but they support financially, and this is no different time. This is something that belongs to us, and it's going to have to be maintained by us. And with that being said, Brother Roscoe, we want to thank you so much for being a part here of the Open Mic Broadcast Network family, and we hope this will not be the last time that we hear from you, sir. And as always, to those who are listening, I am the radio guy, Dr. Mike Prince. Remember to follow me on Twitter at Radio Guy, Instagram is Radio Guy 22. And, of course, the website is obn-radio.com. Don't forget, we will be broadcasting the championship game on our network, Alcorn and Grambling. Kickoff time will be at 3:30 Central Standard Time in the p.m. And don't forget, we'll give you every tackle, every score, and every play that unfolds from beginning to end. Until the next time, you guys be blessed, and we'll see you on the other side.